So, have you gotten any better at drawing lines in concrete versus sand?
Oh, right. For like setting, drawing a line in the sand, and that your problem was that sand is like meant to like move
Washes
too
away.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't I haven't tried to draw a line in concrete because I'd have to go out to the sidewalk and like chip it away, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'd get fined or something by the city because it's I guess I could do it in my own carport, but then there'd just be a line there, and that's like already on my property, and it feels like a useless line.
But you can't put a price on mental health.
No, that's right, but I don't if I like I don't know what piece of concrete I would like with regards to my relationship with my father, where in the concrete I would make a physical line, especially because he could step right over it, and so I I made it an invisible barrier by saying you can't come in my home, and so far that's holding. So I
Mm.
feel like I'm not ready to just actually carve concrete.
Well, we'll get you there.
Okay.
Therapy takes time.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad I shouldn't have already been able to do that.
I mean, it would have been nice, but I'm not surprised.
Okay. Okay, great. But yeah, otherwise things are going okay. It's springtime, so kids activities and
All of this with your father, has it brought up issues or reflections about your own parenting with your children? Do you want to tell me a little bit about some of the challenges you've had in parenting?
yeah, I feel like, and I think I've always felt this way, that like the issues that come up with my father relate more directly, at least like my emotional struggle when I'm parenting my son, and I find myself like falling into habits that I maybe learned from him. And with my daughter, who's a little older, we've reached kind of a new step in our relationship where I feel like I'm parenting less and more trying to like guide and offer support for the things that she's going through as a young woman and a magical person, and having powerful friends. She went through, wanting to be the chosen one and not being, and now being friends with Anthony, the chosen one. So there's all sorts of like the chosen one thing was really big for a while. So that doesn't really relate to issues with my dad when I'm like trying to help my son with sports and stuff. That's where I maybe fall into old patterns and try and catch myself and do better.
Doesn't every child want to be the chosen one of their parent?
Yeah, probably. Which was why I was so, going from the scale of like Evangeline wanting to be recognized for being like better than her little brother to wanting to be chosen by the tribunal to be the most magical of all, was like I didn't know how to navigate that, especially because the way it manifested right at the beginning is that she was very upset that she hadn't been orphaned, and that is not something that any parent ever wants to hear.
How did it make you feel that she wished you dead?
I'm bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable.
I didn't like that. And it wasn't like I want to make you dead by any stretch. It was I want to go back in time and have never been raised by parents. And so that was like, I think I lashed out a little bit. I was like, you have a wonderful life and roof over your head and food on your plate, that kind of stuff that I think parents like default to as we provide for kids. But it was not really about that. It was just that there was this thing that she felt like maybe she had a shot at when, according to this tribunal, it was never even on the table because she had parents.
Have you met the tribunal?
No. What is the tribunal? Is it like it's a Are there three?
I'll tell you a little secret just between the two of us.
Yeah.
They are somewhat of a joke in the othering community.
Interesting.
Yeah. What is the human equivalent of the tribunal? I've heard of this. Okay. When you live in a house and and other people tell you what to do with your house, and it's really arbitrary and silly. And then they make you pay if you don't.
Oh, like in a little neighborhood, like a little
Yes.
HOA,
HOA.
homeowners
Yes.
association.
The
Interesting.
tribunal is kind of like that.
Oh.
They're silly little people that couldn't gain powerful roles in other areas of the magical community. And so they formed their own little mean girl club, as it were, though they don't all identify as female. But
it seems like they've got a fair amount of clout, though, because they get to pick the chosen one. And I feel like my son's school is answering to the tribunal. It's like they're...
if they had any clout, if they had any real power, would they require the chosen one to be an orphaned teenage girl?
I guess I just don't like...
They pick the people they can manipulate and control, who have very little power in any real sense. Magical power is one thing, but personal volition is another. And
right, interesting. Because Samantha feels like a very focused, proactive, headstrong young lady. I'm proud of. I worry about her. She takes on too much. I mean, I'd take her over a little tribunal, but I guess that's why they want to make her feel like she owes it to them for being chosen as a chosen one. Yeah,
they like to pick talented people who don't have anybody else looking out for them. I've actually heard some little gossip, some tea that was tossed out.
Somebody spilled the tea.
Yes,
to you?
Yes, they tossed the tea out, and you have created some animosity.
I was the subject of the tea tossing.
Yes,
I feel like. Are you allowed to? Can a therapist tell somebody? Sure, why not? You're not. Go on. What did I?
You ruffled some. You feathered them. The tribunal
ruffled their feathers.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Their feathers were indeed ruffled as they threw out the tea, and they were angry with you.
As it relates to Samantha?
Yes.
I think I did. I do remember sending letters because I was frustrated with the tribunal.
They've never had that happen before.
No one's ever sent a letter to the tribunal. This feels like maybe it's just...
This is why they choose orphan teenage girls.
Because no one will write the letter the way a passive-aggressive parent will. Because I do feel like writing a letter is the way to be like, I did something without really doing much. So that's very exciting that it actually had some sort of effect.
I actually know that letter is pinned to their target board.
Wow. God, I had pictured like very powerful Skull and Bones-esque, but now it's starting to sound like a cramped office space with like a cork board and my letters up there. And
yes, it reminds me of a human movie I saw once about a wizard. He wasn't a real wizard, and the magic they used in it wasn't real at all, and it was a very silly depiction of everything. But he made a big hoopla to do, and then he was just this very little man, this wizard in Oz.
Oh, I see. Right. Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Maybe Wicked. There's so many different versions you can see.
That's what the tribunal is like. They like to put on a show, but they are just sad little wannabe mages who never really got the power and credit they wanted when they were younger.
Oh, that's good to know. This is a direction I never saw therapy going, where just like venting about an outside source, like somebody out here not dealing with my emotions, but like still feels great to just kind of dump on the tribunal, because I've always had an icky feeling about them.
It's you're more intuitive than I would have expected for a human.
Thanks. Well, maybe it's just a like bucking authority thing, but when it came to like people demanding that my daughter's friend, who's 5'2" and just shouldn't be fighting dark lords and princes and stuff, they were like, you got to do it, and that didn't sit well with me. So
We've several of us have tried to encourage them to go out and do these things that they're asking these children, these orphaned children, to do, but then they just spit out a lot of wishy-washy excuses. I offered therapy to the tribunal once.
They declined.
Yes.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty standard governing body.
Yeah, they said that they had self-reflected enough.
Okay. I want to write another letter. I don't even know what I'd put in it.
If you do, I'd love to see it because I know it'll end up on their little board again.
Oh, yeah. No, God, now I'm knowing where the letter might end up. I feel like I'll take.
You should perhaps draw a little bullseye on the letter just to give them.
Oh gosh, well I don't. That's not really. I would to actually stir stuff up. Even though I'm talking a big game now, I don't think I'd ever get it in the mailbox. But maybe I can have.
You don't need to. The Eagles will come.
Right. Yeah. Right. Just throw it in the air, and the Eagles take the letters. But. Right. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, well done.
Thank you. Yeah. So, as far as my relationship with my daughter, we've recovered from the "I'm not the chosen one, and I wish I didn't have parents." I think being friends with the chosen one was like a little hard at first, and sometimes there's still like some Anthony gets a little holier than thou, and otherwise Evangeline gets to kind of prove herself on a daily basis by hanging with the quote unquote chosen one. So she's in a good space. Yeah, I think there's a world in which that would be true if she didn't have her she's got this incredibly diverse and powerful polycule. There's a lot of love interests in her circle. It's a full circle of love interests. And so I don't think there's ever been any sort of romantic strife with Samantha or jealousy or anything like that. Samantha quests all the time, but I do think Evangeline is so busy with all these different personalities and being so coveted by so many that I think that, she doesn't feel like a sidekick. I certainly don't see her that way.
So tell me about all these suitors that she has. It's unusual for a dad of a teenager to be so comfortable talking about multiple love interests of their child.
It took a while. And at some point, I think I had a lot of trouble with Brad the Vampire, who was her first boyfriend that I spent time with, because he's a vampire and I had to get over all my preconceived vampire things. And then I found out that he was 1,000 years old, and that was really hard for me. Or I guess he's just 650 or something like that. But
it's actually pretty old for a vampire. Right? There's kind of a misconception that vampires live forever, and technically they can. Mm-hmm. Technically, but given the nature of their food source, let's say, they're often killed before they can even reach 500.
Oh, yeah. Well, he hibernated for a while was what I learned that made me feel better. So he was born right before the Inquisition or a few years before that. He slept for a really long time. And so he's still, once I found out he was just an 18-year-old kid who had spent his first most of his teen years leading up to Columbus sailing the ocean blue, and how confused he was by the world, that really bridged a gap there. And once that happened, and then there was Chad the werewolf, who was oh my gosh, there's an enormous wolf in my yard. That gave me a fright. But then he was such a goofy, sweet kid. And then Brad and Chad started dating on the side. And I just kind of realized how
Brad and Chad started dating.
They got shot by Cupid. He's such a punk. And but then it wore off, and they found something special there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Vampires and werewolves tend to be enemies.
Yeah, it felt like once it started happening, the tension. At first, it was I thought they were fighting over Evangeline, and there was so much passion. And then, as much as I don't like what Cupid does, it seemed like it kind of funneled that relationship in a nice
Cupid
direction.
has caused more trouble historically than almost any other being.
I'm glad to hear you say that because
He's a.
And he just once he came over one Valentine's Day because he's like cousins with Timmy's friend Rex or something like that, and he's just firing that arrow around all willy nilly. He seems like he's like got a it's got a little bit of a bloodlust.
Yeah, actually, you'd be surprised at how many wars he started. He has given the god of war a run for his money and kind of angered a lot of gods for taking over their role of war starting.
Wow.
Because he has, you can credit him for more wars than anybody else.
It's not surprising, and yet he's just running free with his little bow and arrow.
Some of us have tried to, how do I put this politely? Entrap him in a way to contain that.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked.
No, he's just a tiny little god.
He once shot me.
Oh no.
And Father Time.
Oh, is that how that happened?
That is how that, the first time that's how that happened.
The first time.
Yeah.
The next time was.
I can't blame all of my mistakes on Cupid.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway. So, and then there was after that, there's a Thad.
Yes.
Right. Son of Thadadad.
Yeah. The Thadadad. The king.
And then so Evangeline started
about so
dating
casually.
Well, yeah, because we've got a lot of history. That was interesting because that was like, talking with Thad is always like just pulling teeth. He's not a great conversationalist, and he was trying to trick me. But that relationship kind of worked itself out, and then she met a really wonderful, lovely siren, Sad, Sabrinad, but they call her Sad for short. And at that point, it was like,
wait, you've met a siren?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you hear her sing?
Beautiful voice, yeah.
And you're here.
You're
You're not insane.
No, I mean,
you haven't been consumed by the depths of the ocean.
No, and maybe it's that she always was like singing just in my living room, and it didn't, that wouldn't drive me into the ocean. But
yes,
we
it would.
We wrote a little song together. She's great. Really like Sad.
Incredible.
She's Poseidon's niece or granddaughter. I'm really, really bad with the gods.
No wonder the tribunal hates you so much.
Because I know Poseidon, or
sure, let's say it's that.
All right. So, anyways, it just got to a point where sometimes I'm like, Evangeline, do you know what you're doing? Because there's a lot of complex relationships, but she seems to. She advocates for herself, and there's like a mix of romance and friendship as people come and go, and there are times where there's just too many people in my house making flirty eyes at each other, and I go hide away and tend to the vines with Wop Lop, and still gone. He'll be back soon.
No, he's still on his.
He's on his little dragon quest, just doing.
That must be hard for you.
It is. It. With each day that he's gone, I'm really happy for him in his self-discovery, and also it's one further day where I'm like, where is Woplop, and will he be back? So I've been wearing. He sent this shirt that we ride for Woplop. He set up a little store.
What an incredible likeness of him.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I've been wearing this. I've been wearing it too much. I should change.
I did wonder what that scent was.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that was me.
I've smelled worse.
I feel like you're not just saying that. I feel like it's
No,
true.
I have smelled so much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And that was like on their good day.
Well, I'm not going to ask questions because you shouldn't divulge that.
No, it's just when I therapize beings from all realms.
Right.
And there are some realms you just don't want. They shouldn't leave those
Evangeline is dating a demon, sometimes named Zad, and they have a really strong sulfuric smell.
Yeah, yeah. I don't actually mind the demonic scent too much. I actually find it rather pleasant. Angels, on the other hand, smell like rotten fruit to me.
Interesting. I didn't get it. I met an angel briefly. There was a whole thing with the Antichrist, but I didn't smell him.
rotten fruit.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like for a human, you have handled these paranormal paramours quite
I
spectacularly.
think I just reached a tipping point where I every new being that I met and was accepting of just enhanced my life, and it got to the point where I was like, "Who else? Let's meet." Because then, like, Rad the Time Traveler showed up, and that was really cool. That one's weird because it's like there's the age stuff always makes me gives me questions, but he's a teenager from the '90s whose car can go places.
Oh, Father Time detests time travelers. There's not that many. There's not that many. But those who figure it out, he gets so mad about it.
Yeah, I feel that's
he doesn't
his
like
thing.
people tricking time.
Yeah, it makes me really nervous. I get really nervous about somebody, because Evangeline went back in time, and I just get so panicked that she would like find me and make fun of me and bully me in a way like a kid might do to their teenage father as a little goof, and then that would destroy me going forward and everything. Like, I don't know how time travel.
What an interesting fear.
Yeah.
Have you talked with her about it?
Yeah. I was like, please don't time travel. I don't think I specifically said I'm worried that you'll go back in time and bully me.
Is she a bully?
No, not at all. But like, she makes fun of her father in a way that I can handle. But if she went back and found like teenage me and made fun of me in the same way, I think it would, I don't know. My knowledge of time travel is very based on the films Back to the Future. And so
they got a lot wrong. I did watch those. In fact, Father Time made me watch those as sort of a rage watch.
Oh, I bet he hates those.
He does. Yeah. And he likes to point out all the inconsistencies about what doesn't actually make sense.
And I'm sure those are there, but Michael J. Fox is so charming and such fun films. So as wrong as they might have been, it really it's what I imagine when I try and conceptualize time travel.
Yeah, the problem with time travel is that it just creates new time loops.
Right. That's, whatever that means, I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Mm-hmm.
And human teenagers, they're so fragile.
Yeah.
It's kind of remarkable that humans survive to adulthood. Like, honestly, as short as your lifespans are, it's incredible you live as long as you do, given how fragile you are, not just in body, but in mind as well.
Oh, yeah. No, every male that makes it past 25 is sort of like a death-defying act. I'm always impressed, especially males, because they try to defy death more often.
And they're very psychologically fragile.
Yeah, big time. I very much agree. I'm on the same page about how crazy it is that we keep on surviving and so prolifically, really.
It is. It's a remarkable aspect of your biology.
Yeah.
It's part of why I do take human clients still, because you're just so fascinating. You're just a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
In ways that other beings aren't, though they have their own unique ideations. So she didn't go back and bully you?
I don't think so. I hope not. I mean,
some version of you would remember that.
Yeah. So no.
And you're still here
I'm still here. I think it's also, the idea that Rad from the 1990s would know who I was and where I was, and they'd be able to find me is sort of like a long shot. So hopefully that's not happening. I think she's smarter than wanting to do that on a goof. If she accidentally took my son back in time, Timmy, the 12-year-old, I think he could destroy so much.
Tell me about Timmy. You said that you find you fall into your father's parenting more with him.
Yeah, and I think that's just being able to see myself in him naturally, because just visually and there's so many similarities. But it's also I have these knee-jerk reactions to talking to him about sports and stuff like that, but the sport he wants to play is this horribly violent broom flying game where they hit the balls and the balls hit the kids and the kids fall to their death, but then they just get magicked back to life or whatever. Do you
want to hear something about that game? It's another little...
Maybe. That game really stresses me out, but go ahead.
So, and again, between you and I.
Mm-hmm.
That game was created on a bet between gods.
Yeah, that feels right.
And no one actually thought that,
It
because
feels like whoever
most of
lost
the
the
most
bet
of the
would have to
mages are
play
still
that
human.
game. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so nobody thought that they would actually go through with it.
Mm.
And yet,
And yet here we are.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
something that gods laugh about all the time.
It seems like it's so popular and it's so
They do drinking games to see how many kids will fall to their almost demise.
It's awful. It's awful. It's an awful game. It's really bad. But everybody loves it, and so Timmy wants to play it, and like he's just doesn't really have. I don't feel like he has the focus. I feel like he could totally be good at whatever he puts his mind to, but he's a little scattered, little ADHD, and all the.
Is that a band? ADHD?
No, attention deficit hyperactive disorder.
What am I thinking of?
AC/DC.
So AC/DC.
AC/DC is a band.
They're different,
and they're very different.
Okay.
Yeah, ADHD is a common disorder that people are getting better at identifying and helping kids with. And so it was, as my son came into his like magical self, there were two things at play. And being able to go to a magic school and kind of focus those powers has been really helpful. But it's also, he's just not, with the way his mind works, I don't want him on a broom. So many stories above the ground.
Having magical abilities and that kind of mental processing system, that's kind of dangerous.
I mean, it's really cool. I love watching his mind work, and at the same time, yes, I do feel that there's dangers that as he matures, he'll understand and get a hold of, and so that's our whole parenting process is helping with that, and I think we've been getting there, giving him different systems and connecting him with the right people who.
And he goes to Eagle Fly Academy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I've heard strange things about that school.
Yeah, I am real torn because it feels like the place where he needs to be. I think his peers are good. I think there's some good teachers. And then I think the whole system is so like there's a lot of strangely archaic, unnecessarily so. And I also don't think they teach the children academic things.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing is if people who are human or human adjacent live too long and get too old, their ability to run and manage things and make intelligent choices diminishes.
Mm-hmm.
And in any system where you have the very advanced in age running systems that are meant for future generations, you get a collapse. Of those systems.
Yeah. The headmaster who I've like seen from afar looks just hundreds of years old. And is that true? And that feels like at some point, despite no matter how powerful he is magically or how long he might live for, I don't think there's any way he remembers being a child.
Yeah, and it is difficult because in a lot of these magical systems, the people controlling them are old and they're powerful, and they have a lot of resources to continue that power hierarchy.
Right, yeah.
And so breaking that, there has been a lot of us who have tried to push against that to bring in fresher blood.
Yeah.
But then they just blood them. It wasn't good.
Oh.
That was a bit of a massacre.
Interesting.
So we stopped trying after the last one.
Like an actual massacre.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. I didn't see it going in that direction. Oh.
We didn't either, which was short-sighted of us, to be fair.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm.
But your flesh, your flesh and your fresh don't get bludgeoned or massacred.
Right.
But
good to know.
Here's a thought as we wrap up today.
Okay.
Without being massacred or bludgeoned, push back against those archaic systems. You like writing letters. I know you feel like they're not very effective, and usually they're not, but you might make it onto somebody else's little dartboard.
Okay.
Write a few strongly worded letters and see how you feel.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. I need to write one about the broom sport that they play. Just like protective gear, maybe flying closer to the ground. Seems like a good jumping off.
Yeah, because so much of these systems were created by like either very old evil or powerful evil, or honestly just evil.
Or a bet between gods. If I included that in my letter, like, did you know that the broom flying game was just originally a bet between gods? Like, is that something?
Feel free.
They must already know, but
it would actually impress them that you know.
Okay.
So that could be a little flex.
Okay.
That could be I know more than you think I do.
Yeah.
You better pay attention.
I do love it when I know something about magic and they don't expect me to.
Yes.
It feels great. Yeah.
So go for it. And then we'll talk about what happens next time.
Okay. So I'll all right. Okay. That sounds great. This feels good.
All right. And have you gotten my bill?
I got an unmarked envelope with like a very intricate drawing of different things.
Mm-hmm.
That's you? That's a bill? Okay. Is there...
When you're ready, no pressure. I take payments.
Okay. I had always intended to pay. Is there like a website where I can figure out what it means?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Put it under your pillow when you sleep at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay. And that'll help me understand it.
We'll see.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that. Because I certainly, yes, I don't want to make you think I'm not going to pay.
I believe you. I'm not worried.
Just thought it was an interesting drawing, and I didn't know who did it, but it's a bill. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put that under my pillow then.
All right, and I'll see you back here next week.
Okay, thank you.